would be to go to one of our Facebook pages. You can go to Hardcore Business on Facebook. You can go to, is it?
Bedros on
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can go to Lisa Sasevich, or if you just want to type in a URL, you can go to lisasasevichfan.com. It'll put you right onto the page.
Great.
So you'll find the link on any of our pages.
Awesome.
So, but if you're on Instagram, hey, we're so happy you're here, and please share.
Yes. And
share.
have raised $16,000 for
Wow, thank you.
children's hospital, which is amazing.
I mean, think
16,
about
geez.
how, when you told that story in the beginning about your friend's son in the wheelchair and needing, growing and needing that custom wheelchair, and here's this man that's, on the police force, devoted his life, and just think about how much that's going to be multiplied, right?
Yeah.
Like by this level of donation. And then I think of all the good that people are going to do in the world with their offer and learning how to grow their list and be more effective leaders. So, I mean, the pebble in the pond today is a boulder.
It is.
Oh, I love that. Pebble in the pond is a boulder.
Back to good storytelling. So there's a question that Lisa, actually, I'm just going to throw over to you. What if you don't know what your irresistible offer is yet? Can your program help that?
I mean, you nailed it today being here, because the Nail Your Offer system is exactly that. It's to help you get clear on what you do offer. And then once you're clear on it, how do you articulate? How do you make it irresistible with bonuses and limiters and a lot of things we talked about? So, normally if you went to get just that one program, it would be $500. And today, for a $199 donation, you're getting that program plus everything else we mentioned. I think it adds up to $6,000 or $7,000 of training, step-by-step systems. It's not our first rodeo, so every single one of our trainings is just super easy to implement. Get the package today. Make the donation.
And I'll just say again, because I'm just always going to be really straight about this, go get it for somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
go
Pay
get
it
it
forward.
for somebody
Pay
else.
It forward.
I mean, it's a huge deal. I mean, you do not become successful by just educating yourself. You become successful by educating the people around you that you care about. So somebody's birthday is coming up. There's Christmas coming up in I don't know how many months. I'm already playing Christmas music.
Oh, good.
So,
well, and also there's, school is starting, right? So there's so much, all of our schedules are going to change a little bit that have kids in our life.
Yeah.
And so it's just a great opportunity as you're looking, like, how are you going to transform post-summer?
Yeah.
Do you want to kick it out of the park in the last quarter? Do you know someone that really needs to make a leap in the last quarter? They're meant for more. So, Shanda has taught me so much about
great leaders always
leadership.
take care of other people.
Yeah.
And so many people just want the break that someone like us is going to sit down with you for free and help you. And that break comes by who you're being behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, because you show up very differently. There's a different level of confidence in you, a different level of genius and generosity. The way you can tell when somebody's like desperate for your attention versus somebody is there and they inspire you to show up and just gift them something, right? So it starts right now. So I highly recommend that you go at least purchase this for one other person. Okay, next question. I've never had a coach. How do you find a great coach and avoid the fluff coaches just looking to make a buck?
Great question.
The best experience I found is find the person in your industry, right? Most industries have an expert. But you, as Ronald Reagan once said, trust but verify. So instead of just taking their word for it, that, hey, I'm a great coach, I'll help you reach 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever, ask for validators. And validators are people that you would call and connect with and say, hey, did you coach with so-and-so? What outcomes did you see? What results did you see? And would you do it over again? And so if they have testimonials, that's great, but I would like to talk to a guy or gal or two to just make sure. I mean, that's exactly how I found Joe Polish. Someone had talked about Joe Polish. I talked to a few people who was already in the program. How did you like it? Great. And I've been in it for 7 years now, right? So that's the best way to find a coach. And I should say this. If the coach in your industry is an imposter, then there are plenty of people who understand business. The bottom line is this, that most businesses are built the same way.
Yeah.
And so you can find someone who does X amount of coaching, but can help a fitness business as well, right? Just because you're the dental business coach doesn't mean you can't help a chiropractic business. So keep that in mind as well.
And I will say that I think there's a limiting belief that you need to find a coach, like you have to have one person coach you. If you have been with us for a while, you've heard, one of us answers a question and the other two learn. And so I would also recommend lean into group coaching. So going to live workshops and training, which you're going to get, 2 opportunities to do that when you donate today through Shanda, through myself. The programs, the digital programs and the coaching programs that you're getting today, if you haven't done group learning in a while, or except for in academia, really encourage you to lean in, because it's amazing, in the Facebook communities, in the group coaching, there is so much more available when you learn in a collective. There is a mastermind that shows up, which is why all of us offer these kind of long-term programs. So please don't be limited thinking you need to find one coach and go solo. There's so much available to learn in community.
People definitely. So I'll say, to figure out who the fluff coach is and the non-fluff coach is notice how honest they are. There's a big, I think honesty converts, and I think there's a lot of people who have learned to say the right thing and don't necessarily have the right back end. And so look for people who are honest. Like, are they saying a few risky things online? I think that, like, being bold and being honest about what they really believe, and you might not agree with 100% of what the no fluff coach believes in, but if you can respect the fact that they're bold, that they know who they are, and then they have the lifestyle you want, because lifestyle is really important, I think, if it's important to you. So there's some people, like, I've coached with some great people, and there's somebody I coached with who helped me a lot. But they hustle. Hustling is a big thing. It's important to do. But they hustle to the point of not, like, being gone for 3 months at a time. And sometimes you think that you need to do that to be successful. I took off 5.5 months last year. 5.5 months. And my company keeps growing massively, in quantum leaps. So, so I think no fluff. Look for the no fluff online. So next question. What would you offer to selling a high-end personal transformation program versus a business program? What would you offer to sell?
They're talking about the offer?
Yeah.
Like, how do you structure
maybe
the
how
offer?
to position it? Maybe how to position
there's
it?
always an outcome, right? Find what the most desired outcome is of a business transformation program or a fitness or physical transformation
I think what they're
program.
saying, like, because I'm going to kind of fill in.
Maybe
so maybe, like, so people will say, well, you sell money, and I sell money. That could be a really, really real thing, that somebody's fearful that they couldn't be successful with our stuff because we sell money and they don't sell money, right? They're selling transformational work. So what would be your answer to that?
The answer is that, again, that's a limiting belief, that we teach how to make money does not mean that we can do it and you can't, because I teach personal trainers to sell fitness. Right? And I myself own 2 Fit Body Bootcamp locations of my own, and we sell fitness in those 2 locations. And so we find out what the things are that keep the people awake at night, what their biggest fears, frustrations, and desires are. When we are very clear on that, our entire offer, going back to making that perfect offer, our entire offer is built around what their fears, frustrations, and desires are. So it doesn't matter if it's fitness or if it's a new car or if it's making money. You find out the person's fears, frustrations, desires, what's keeping them awake at night, and you go, here's a solution, and you back it up with proof and authenticity and vulnerability and an offer that's irresistible and has built-in limiters, because that's what I just learned from you.
And justifications.
And ta-da, you've got it. So it's your limiting beliefs right now that's stopping you, nothing else.
And if I can layer on one more piece, in the Nail Your Offer system, just kind of happens to be available today. So there's the second module of it is about what we call discovering your unique branded system. So if you're in personal growth, so my lab for everything I teach now was in personal growth. So I enrolled people in seminars, workshops, 6 years taught courses that had women learn how to create partnership with men. So everything that wasn't about teaching money was where I learned all the things that I teach about irresistible offers now. So our system is really like the stuff for selling those kind of intangibles. And one of the ways, and this is module 2 in Nail Your Offer, one of the ways that you make your intangible tangible is you put it into a system. So I'm kind of like meta-ing right now. So the Nail Your Offer system is a 5-step system to be able to nail your offer. I'm seeding it by saying, hey, in module 2 you find this, and all of that when you turn your transformational work, your intangible work, your training, your thinking, your knowledge into, let's say, a 5-step process, all of a sudden it gives that person who's considering buying it that feeling that it is not just like that you're going to wake up and be a great coach that day. It's that they are buying, 5 tangible steps that other people have followed before, and it gives more of a feeling like they are buying something existing, and proven. Yeah. So we walk you through our system to help you find your system in the Nail Your Offer system.
That's a great system.
And that all comes when you give money to Shriners today. So how good is that?
That's like the whole concept around just name it. Like name your system, your method, your academy.
Yeah.
You add these little words to the end of things.
Yeah.
And
system, formula,
all
boot
of a sudden,
camp.
I cannot tell you how many people have hired me to learn my generator email.
Right.
It's like I find it my generator email, which is just a simple email on how to get influencers to work with you.
Right.
Right.
But you've made it tangible.
Yeah, I have. So when we talk, so I was thinking about all the different ways that I could talk about audience building and how to build your email lists and your social followings and all of those things. And first off, I say keep it stupid simple.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Keep it stupid, simple. You did that on purpose.
I literally, first of all, growing up, I had one dad in my ear that was a stepdad who was physically and emotionally abusive and always called me stupid. And then I had another dad who I met in grade 6 who was my real dad who always believed in me. And when I look at those inner voices that are always coming at you, I walk my life with both of those voices inside my head all the time. So I don't think that things, in my experience, when it's too complicated, it really has never worked for me. Like when I operated from a place when I was doing real estate, I invested in that seminar, $21,000 with other people's credit cards. I remember, at one point getting my confidence and thinking, it's gonna be that big deal. So if you're like someone out there, you're like waiting for that big break, it's crazy because that big break never came until I learned how to have a lot of little breaks. And the lot of little breaks, the simple things of not being too good for the smaller offers and for, building myself up. Like I love Tony Robbins' movie or documentary around I Built Me. And I always think that we're in the process of building ourselves. And so have patience and love for yourself as you're building yourself. But at the core of everything you're doing, generosity has to be there. It has to be there. You think if I say, okay, to build an audience, I want you to go cut a video and here's the formula I want you to do. 9 out of 10 people are going to either not be able to do that in the next 10 minutes. They're going to want to script things out. They got to get it perfect. It's all about themselves, which then gets really complicated. And it's not about making a difference in the world, right? Yep. And so I can teach you tons of tactics. You can go find the #1. I actually learned this from Russell Brunson. I thought it was smart. You can go learn the #1 video right now in your industry right now. Go find the video that's got the most shares, totally viral, everybody wants it. Take the title of that, set up a registration page, you can run traffic to it, and you're literally driving traffic to somebody else. You can build a massive email list that way.
Right.
You get it? Easy. Somebody else's product in your industry, you can build a massive email list that way.
You mean use the framework of the title to tweak
be like,
it
okay,
to what
I
you're
love
doing.
one of your videos or one of your teaching points online, and I could literally put up a registration page and say, here's how to grow a fitness gym to $1 million, and I can drive traffic to him and I can collect all the data.
Oh, to the actual video that I made.
Yeah.
But it's behind the opt-in.
It's behind the opt-in. So great way to grow your...
That's a really brilliant strategy.
It's a great strategy. However, do you know how to warm that up?
Right. How do you now turn them to you?
Well, my point is that a lot of people are building their businesses on these tactics that people like us, you could warm it up. I mean, you could warm it up. You could do Facebook Lives to it. You could do videos to it. I mean, we could essentially warm up that list. But somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience in sales conversions or in marketing or hasn't learned their leadership yet, they take a tactic like that and they wonder why they can't grow their business because they don't have the level of leadership that it takes to be able to warm things up and monetize, like honesty converts. So one of my favorite ways to be able to build your audience, and it's still my most profitable.
So we're transitioning now into how to build your audience. Sort of the,
Thanks, Lisa.
The third segment of our show.
What would we do without you?
I know, she's so... See, she's the reverse engineering, right? So
For the record,
Can you
we're on the third
imagine my
segment.
house? Everything's in categories.
Yes.
It's labeled.
I love that.
it is actually. I opened up her cabinet,
actually
and
thank
literally
God for my
all
nanny.
of her vitamins are labeled by day.
Oh, that's great.
She has a
Love
grab
that.
Thank God
bags.
for my nanny.
So, but my point is that, you know, when I left real estate and started this business, I met a friend who I was actually ended up buying his course, Habit of Attraction, and I was his all-star student. So number one is invest in somebody that is very successful in their program and become their best success story.
That's
Do
such
everything
a
that they
great tip.
say. It will build your network faster than anything else, because we love our success stories, because first of all, you make us feel good. Second of all, we want to share you all the time.
You prove that our shit works.
Yeah, but there's a power to
Yeah.
that, right? So
Yeah.
I have become great friends with everybody I've ever studied under.
Yeah.
And they have always promoted me. They've
Right.
promoted me when I've got my other programs. They promoted me as their success story.
Yeah.
And that launched my business very easily. And
Right.
so the first guy that I ever hired, Habit of Attraction, Robert, he had an email list of like 150,000 people. And when I went to have a shamanic experience back then, yes, I did the medicine, and had the full shamanic experience. And when I came back, I just kept hearing this voice inside my head. It was like this God voice that was telling me that I needed to go teach financial freedom. At that point, I had built a huge division for Coldwell Banker. I was traveling to the UK every month. First class, upper class, Virgin, same room at the Hyatt, across from Hyde Park. Like, I had my life set, right? We did over $100 million in sales in 18 months, actually $170 million in sales, developing my leadership. I was completely broke before I sold that. I went from rags to riches. I was the only thing that changed was the leadership training that you did. That is the only thing that changed, is I really invested in my leadership, and then I exploded. So now I go have a shamanic experience because the guy I'm dating sucks and I'm heartbroken again. And so I go have this shamanic experience to fix myself. Coming back from Sedona, Arizona to Las Vegas, I'm hearing this voice. I got The Secret playing in my CD player. So I got Rhonda, whatever her name is, speaking, right? And then I've got this reoccurring voice, like God's in the back. It's like somebody speaking here, like God's in the back of my seat. And it's like a record that's skipping. And I had a moment where I thought maybe I was going insane. I thought maybe the medicine has tweaked something and I'm going insane. Because I'm serious, because I had been driving for 2 hours.
What I would have done to be in the car with you in that moment.
Maybe you were the voice back
I may
there.
have been the voice,
You
yeah.
guys, it's crazy.
Slow down.
Yeah, it was that I would need to go teach financial freedom, and I was like, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an author. In fact, the first time I met Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul, talk about taking your foot out of your mouth. Mark's obviously a teacher and author, and they're all trying to coach me in Santa Monica, and I'm like, I have no desire to be a coach or a speaker. Like, I totally I poo-pooed the whole industry because I thought it wasn't real business, right? Like, I just poo-pooed the whole thing. And so, anyway, I listened to the voice eventually, and I say I argued with God in that moment. I said, all right, I'll call my friend Robert, who has now become my friend that I studied with. I was his all-star client. And I'll call Robert and I'll ask him if he'll launch a program with me.
This is a list build, the list
And I
building
never
piece.
want to
Yeah.
hear your voice again. This voice in my
right,
car.
right.
I never want to hear you again. And the voice stopped. I called Robert.
Because you took the action that
I
it
guess
was
so.
saying.
Who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, I don't know why.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
creepy moment. You know, so I literally, Robert calls me back and says, I've always thought that you should be a coach and a trainer. And he said, I would be happy to launch you. So he gave me 24 hours to create a program. It was called The Art of Receiving Money. I sat on my floor. I did the whole spiritual thing where I lit every candle in the house and sat on the floor and meditated to get it right. But I still had 24 hours at a limiter.
Yeah.
Right? I had
right.
24 hours I needed to create it for this
Limiters
guy.
do create action.
It creates action.
That's true.
So never feel odd about creating a limiter because it
Yeah.
got me out of my own way. So we launched the program. I think I had 6 people buy at like $3,000. But I was so nervous. I was sitting in my X5 BMW outside in the dark, outside my housing complex, doing the call on the side of the street, and made all this money. I went, holy shit, what am I doing? I freaked out. I was like, this was incredible. An hour of just giving
Right.
around something I had never created yet. I didn't even know what I sold. I just knew that I would deliver anything I could. And if you ever have a worry about starting a program or a product and you haven't created it yet, just make an agreement with yourself. My agreement was I could always give them back their money. So it kept me in integrity to sell it.
Right.
Right?
And then you do it. Well, I was going to say, if you had 6 people buy your program, like from a list building perspective, you probably had a whole bunch more people that actually joined your community.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, yes, because he let me keep the opt-in. So I probably had like 1,500 people or something.
Right.
And so I kept the opt-in. But then the next month I had to go back to him again because now I made the money and I spent the money, and that's the worst place. Talk about reoccurring income. I sold a product that was 4 weeks that now I had to sell again to eat. And so Robert promoted me again, and I did it again. And this happened like over 4 months, 3 times. And then I realized that I needed to figure out how to build my own audience. So I started doing telesummits and video summits, but I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
Right? So, but what I did know is in real estate, what I did was you could still find a really bad YouTube video of me going like this. I didn't know this was a pattern interrupt.
I'm going to look for it.
Oh, don't worry. They're searching. They're searching now.
It's platinum blonde hair. But what I did was I looked up influencers online. I figured I literally thought the real estate market was crashing, and I thought the UK had more money because their money was pounds and it was worth more. So I looked up just investment groups on Google, and I started in their contact us, sending them this video of me going like this, right? Because I was so nervous. I had no experience at all on internet marketing. I didn't know what it was. And I basically said, America's on sale. I said, so start with what's in it for them. America's on sale. I know pretty much every developer in Las Vegas. I know a lot of them in New York, a lot of them in Arizona. I can source you properties directly with developers and create whatever plan that you need to be able to hand it to your investment groups. And so I leveraged their email lists without knowing. I didn't know how they were going to get it out. I just knew there was an influencer that led a crew. Right? And I just needed to speak to the influencer. So even in corporate America, I always went to the top person. So this is why if you ever have an idea of coaching with a shitty coach to save money, it's the worst strategy you could ever do because they will take twice as long to get you there. So I'd always go to the top person and figure out how can I figure out a win-win with that person to succeed in life. And I've always thought like that after I started developing my leadership because I realized me winning doesn't mean somebody else has to lose.
So I heard
It's a big game changer when you start to think like that.
That is huge.
Including your clients, including your friends. Nobody has to lose for somebody to win. But if you don't play to win, you never actually hit freedom. Ever. If you don't play to win. Whether you are an employee, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are a nurse, whatever you do, if you don't play to be the best in your industry, you never reach that level of personal freedom that you're looking for. What were you gonna say?
I just heard so many jewels in these stories. I mean, looking for the top headline. No, just like I never have thought of that. Look for the stuff that people are following, and then just like, well, you gave another strategy, but what I also took from it is just use that for your own. Massage it to your own. Becoming the best client of your coach. I've seen so many people do that. Mari Smith, I remember, really built her career in being like a Facebook Pied Piper of social media. She used to call herself. Just every sales page you went on of anybody, she was there with a testimonial of having coached with them. Yeah. And I've seen you do that. Yeah. So I mean, these are simple list building tools that anybody can start with.
Here's what's crazy. In real estate, when I would just find these people who didn't know me, look, you don't need 500 great friends. You know what I mean? You need a handful of people who are genuine, they're honest, and they're willing to play a win-win game with you. You don't need egos. In fact, I used to hate when I got into this industry when people would say, don't ever let people talk to you or get to you because you need to position yourself as the top. I hate that strategy. Joe DeCenter, who owns Spartan Races, gave his freaking email out on the front of my stage. They had 78 people in my first event, which was only 140 people. He had 78 people go do Spartan Races, and they're always laughing at him because he really answers them. You know what I mean? He's accessible, and he owns a $300 million brand, right? So generosity is a huge piece that I keep seeing in success. But that little Google search, I ended up landing one investment group inside of 7 days. that started mailing their databases, and all I did was listen. I didn't know how to do real estate. I was a starving, losing everything, paid for this seminar in real estate and learned some language, and then made my money back by wholesaling some deals in a couple months. I was just learning like enough language to be able to just say, oh, some investment groups want cash flow, the want need, right? Some of them want cash flow. Some of them want a rehab. They all have a belief system on what's going to get them to their end result. So all I had to do was ask them the question, what do you guys need?
You were surveying even back then, right?
So what do you guys need to be successful? Let me see if I can solve that problem for you. They would tell me, I'd go to the developer. I didn't have to know how to do anything. I'd go to the developer and say, this group needs this type of a discount, or they need this type of a buy and hold. The developer knew more about real estate than me. So he would create a deal. I would go back to the investment group. The investment group would accept the deal because they already knew each other. I was never afraid of introducing them. If they cut me out of the deal, I can go do the deal again somewhere else. I've never been afraid of holding my contacts, hoarding. I let all of that stuff go, and it's always served me well.
You actually are the most extraordinary person I've met at that. At your,
you.
Just lack of fear of being generous. Like a lot of people say there's abundance and there's enough, but when you really look at what they're doing, they don't live that way. And I can include myself, up until just like recent learnings of being that person. And you've been such an amazing role model on what it really, really is. Like there's the lip service to win-win, and then there's actually playing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would just say Shanda Sumter is, really like such a true in every cell in your body.
Well,
and we're here doing this today. It was your idea to give this way, to bring us together. Bedros and I are like, we so want to play with you. We want to learn new strategy, right? It's one of the ways that I grow is partner up.
Partner up. I love that. One of the, as you're giving audience building strategies here, one thing I don't want to fall on deaf ears or blind eyes here was what you said, that you didn't know as much about the real estate space, yet you took action anyway.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest things that any entrepreneur could ever do, or would-be entrepreneur, is to take imperfect action. Oftentimes we wait. I need to have the perfect knowledge. I need to make the perfect connections. I need to have the perfect email to send out. You did imperfect action, but the fact that you took action, you took it with abundance, you made shit happen. And at the end of the day, money is rewarded to the person who takes action.
Yeah.
Well, like your gym owners, how many of them do not come from the experience of knowing about gym ownership or maybe even fitness,
you
except
guys,
for the personal experience?
You can't be afraid to make mistakes. So literally, I'm dyslexic. When I started my business, so I will show you how to apply that to your own business in a second, but like I would wake up, I'll go back to dyslexia in a second, but and believe it or not, I don't have ADD. That's the really bad thing.
That's us too,
Dr. Amen told me I don't have ADD. That's a problem. So
you got nothing to fall back on,
nothing to fall back on. But I would wake up with somewhere between like 150 and 250 applications a night. And so that's how we sold so much. And then talk about being around great friends. The owner of Coldwell Banker literally said to me, instead, because I would go to a development and I would say, I could sell 25 homes in a week to 10 days. Like it was like that, right?
Oh, wow.
And so literally the owner of Coldwell Banker said, kind of the value add thing. Tell the developers now if they want you to sell for them, then you will perform, and if you perform and hit 25 homes in 10 days or 2 weeks, then they have to hand their listing over to us and cancel their listing agent. So they'd have to pay a fee. We would take on the $20 million or the $40 million building, right? And so that's how we stacked so quick, is because we added value, strategy, we packaged ourselves together with there's always a way to package yourself to make it more valuable, and don't be afraid of making the offer. So I did wake up one day and I realized that this isn't it.
Oh dear.
And that's how I started this company. And that was the whole back to the shaman thing, close that loop. I ended up starting this coaching company because I realized that money will not fulfill you. It will not fulfill you. And it's just a magnifier. So if you're depressed, you're going to get more depressed. If you are an asshole, you're going to be more of an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, it is really important.
Is that a technical term?
Probably. But it's really important for you to work on your inner leadership, because you need to figure out how to be a generous leader so you're not passive aggressive, so that people never forget how you feel right? You need to figure out how to be that type of leader to grow an empire. And I believe we all want to grow empires. The only reason why we say I'm not sure if I want to keep growing or I'm not sure if I want to be a billionaire is because there's something that we're fearful in growing because of the way we're showing up somewhere, and it's scary, right? So here's the flip to how you can use this if you're growing a coaching company or a gym or whatever you're doing. First of all, I think everybody needs to get online. Even if you have a brick and mortar, I believe that you should have something online. I mean, I sold a fitness program with Jesse Itzler, challenges for $5,000 for 90 days. We delivered the entire workout through Facebook group, posting every week their workouts, and then do a once a week call, and they had a 2-day challenge at the end, right? And so anything you're doing inside of a brick and mortar, I haven't found anything yet that cannot be monetized online. I do believe that it's powerful to be able to have multiple streams of income doing the same thing that you're already doing. You know what I mean? There's a huge power to that. But if you were to get influencers to work with you in your field, all you have to do is have an inspiring why that they would be interested in. So when I reached out to you guys to do this, I mean, it was really like an afterthought for all of us. We were all working on other things. It's not like we had all these meetings beforehand. It's like, hey, it's about us sharing the fact that we're driven, sharing things we don't normally share. What are you interested in doing right now? A Man Up book and leadership.
I
really
wanted
committed.
to meet your audiences, and I wanted my audience to meet you guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was
Exactly.
my why, is like, wow, what a winner.
Yeah,
And then the fact that we get to donate.
I was meant for more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so we all have these different things that we're working on that are really important to us. And if anything, if you can be of value by just asking questions to powerful people about what's important to them. My girlfriend Joy Lennox, who was on One Tree Hill, she spoke at my Zone event and a couple years ago, and she said one of the things that drives her nuts is when somebody stands outside her bathroom door trying to take a picture with her. And she goes, I've sat there crying as I'm going through a divorce and people are lining up to take pictures with me.
Wow.
And it came from my nanny going and asking somebody from, I don't know, one of those, The Hobbit or something, Harry Potter. She saw the actress and she went to go take a picture, and she was a royal biatch to her. And I was saying to Joy, doesn't that come with the territory of being an influencer? She goes, you know what it's like, Shanda? She goes, they're just going to use our pictures on social media to get. And this is that give to get scenario. She goes, imagine if they just came up and said, wow, that movie that you were in transformed my life. And here's how. She goes, not only would I take a picture, I'd post it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what are you going to say, something?
Great message.
No, just
By the way,
so much there.
you were gonna share something out of the
Yeah.
4 spiritual laws of
Yes.
prosperity.
Well, this is actually kind of a sweet, thank you for
Transition.
bringing that up. Well, because everything you're saying, like Shanda reached out to me, and we had seen each other and always say, we should get together, kind of that thing where you're like, let's do lunch, but it wasn't happening.
We live one beach apart.
We live a beach apart, and we're both, moms with businesses, and so we had lunch, and we didn't talk about strategy. We didn't talk. What we talked about actually is so much is in this book called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity by a woman named Edwene Gaines, who I first heard when I was pregnant with my now 11-year-old daughter, and my son was 3. And my ex-husband took me to Agape Spiritual Center, where they have all kinds of amazing spiritual speakers in Santa Monica, California. And so she introduces in this book the concept of tithing. And being Jewish, we didn't have the same kind of tithing like maybe they do in the church, where there's like a basket passed, or you're supposed to give a certain percent specifically to the church. So I really hadn't been exposed to this idea and the power of it. But in her talk, Edwene talks about a different definition than I had heard, which is really giving 10% of everything that comes your way, and this is her definition, to people, places, and institutions, like what we're doing today, that feed you spiritually. She calls it spiritual food. And I marked this, what is spiritual food. So if you're being fed spiritual food, possibly you want to start the tithing experiment today. It says, spiritual food is that which inspires us, teaches us, reminds us of the truth, and causes us to remember who we really are. So it inspires us, teaches us, reminds us of the truth, and causes us to remember who we really are. It's the infilling of spiritual energy that reconnects us consciously to the awareness of our innate divinity. So, you know, it's like, I know just being with you guys, I get reconnected to the influence that I can make in people's lives because of influence that you're making in mine, just being here. And so she offers a 6-month experiment in this book. She says, you know what, especially if you're in the hardest time where you feel like, you know, the bills are barely getting paid. And that's when Michael and I took this on. I mean, we were sharing a car and he was in fellowship and, you know, baby on the way. And she offers this 6-month experiment to try it, to take 10% and contribute it to people, places, and institutions. So the minute I didn't think, oh, this has to go to a cause or a need or one institution or a person, all of a sudden I had the freedom to just look around my life. I started carrying some cash. And I mean, if I had someone on a wait staff or, you know, that was like really blowing me away, or I saw a family eating and their cell phones were away and they were connected, you know, I would like pick up their tab, you know, anonymously. So I mean, tithing like that. Or if I was tithing like we are today, I'm not tithing to the need today, personally, you know, from what I learned from the 6-month experiment, which has now become a 10-year experiment.
Biblical.
Oh,
the Bible.
okay.
The only thing that that God says to Testament is your money. And so your money is spoken about something like 2,500 times in the Bible, more than faith, more than anything. So actually what she's really talking about is making offerings, not really tithing. She's calling it tithing.
She says the purpose of tithing is not to build churches or pay ministers' salary, although tithes do help to do these other good things. The real purpose of the tithe is to acknowledge, as you're saying, that God is the source of our good and that we are aware and grateful for the good in our lives. And so I took it on as a 6-month experiment. We did, you know, we would do it before we paid our bills. And within a few months, the craziest opportunities had happened. I went from just, barely scratching by, coaching one by one, not seeing my kids and, or my one kid and had one on the way, to, a couple $100,000 in coaching business. It's when things started taking off.
And you tithed like $600K.
Well, now we tithe 10% on, much larger amounts. But I just want to say, like, part of my inspiration in being here, number one, was to introduce my people to you and to get to meet the people who found you. If I can get more people making their offer, more people, more memberships in the gyms, more conversion with the list, then I'm doing my gift. And I know that everybody that I talk to needs your knowledge. But the other thing was that I'm not tithing to the need that Shriner fills. I'm tithing to my inspiration of what they do. Do you know how inspired I am by what you guys do and what they do? Because what we put our attention on grows, right? So we want to tithe to the good, tithe the inspiration, tithe to the spiritual food. And I feel like every time we do something like this, we give folks who may have just, used to do this but sort of forgot or want to up their game, just a chance to say, oh, I want to step back into that experiment.
Yeah, you woke me up to it. I mean, you once woke me up to it. And I just had a moment not the other day, but this year, we had a moment where we've been hiring high leaders, and we brought in the leadership training, which has lots of events to it. And we basically found ourselves in a position that I had to transfer $350,000 out of our slush fund to cover cash flow. Yeah, right? And
when you're growing, that's true possibility.
I was like, I had a moment. I literally looked at Ash and I was like, whoa, like how quickly things can change, right? Because we have always operated like at a 35% profit margin for a very long time.
And isn't the first thing you think, oh, I can't tithe, or I don't know.
I always tithe. I give 10%. And so, but what I was doing is, there's this woman, Janice, that I pray with, and Janice calls me. I said, for the first time in a long time, I actually feel worried about money. Yeah. And I've unhooked from, I've been in hard situations and not been worried about money. Yeah. Right? But I said, there's this interesting new learning that's coming through with me. And she goes, have you tithed? I said, I tithe all the time. You know what I mean? Then I have this kind, I go, I mean, not right now, not this month, because I just transferred all this cash. Yeah. That doesn't even make sense. But I'll shore up. I'll shore up. Sure. And she's like, no, you have to sacrificially give right now. She goes, and so I got all excited about us. Everything happens in a car for me. I was in a car. I ran inside the house.
She drove here, by the way.
I grabbed my card, and I tithed. We just made some cash, and I tithed, 6 figures and let it go. And in a moment that we were in a money crunch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And literally, I am not kidding you, within a few days, things start
Isn't it
turning
crazy?
around.
It is I feel like if I could just really from my gut share with the secret sauce, that it's the secret sauce.
Okay, but
Do you
that's what
know?
I'm saying with people.
But you don't do it to get.
People
it's just,
have to operate like this.
Yeah.
It's not just with our money. You know, the movie The Secret is great. It's a gateway drug to really figure out how to operate in the universe. But at the end of the day, we have to stop giving to get.
Right.
We have to stop giving to get. We have to operate. There's a book called The Go-Giver that we're about to read.
We're gonna
Ash and I,
start a
have you
little
read it?
book club.
Yeah.
About 100% giving.
Valentine turned me on to that.
Okay, so we're about to read it, and I love the concept.
I mean, I'll be in the book club.
About giving 100%, like me giving to you and you giving to me is not actually a win, right? Do you want to speak into that at all?
Well, I understand what
So
what
much
you're
on the
saying.
table. It's very juicy soil
Yeah.
right
It's
here.
funny how we shifted gears, but the Go-Giver, by the way, there's also Go-Giver on sales. Not that I'm promoting the book. It's not, I don't make a penny of it. It's just such a great book.
Yeah.
A very simple book to read. And it's really about giving without expectations. When we give without expectations, there is some universal law. There is some, I don't know if the word is magic or higher power, your God or your belief system, the universal consciousness. I've heard it defined as all. But when you give without expectations to feed, because as humans we do have a need to serve, and that is part of service is to give without expectations to those who are less fortunate or those who don't have the opportunities that we currently do. You do get more in back. It's those who give and expect more in back who usually don't get what they were bartering for.
Yeah, they're scorecarding it. So when I built that division for Coldwell Banker, I worked for 6 months for free and didn't even realize that I had worked for 6 months for free until I started hiring people for the division, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, we haven't even sat down to do an agreement. I literally built a whole division that I wasn't getting paid for, and I was doing leadership work, and so I was really connected to vision. And then, but when you're operating from that standpoint, you write your own ticket in life. You just do. Your life picks up and tips into another formula that just feels like, I feel like I can't stop making money.
But you know, in the early stages,
I just see it everywhere. I'm like, why did I not see it everywhere my entire life? Because I was always trying to hack a formula to get something.
Well, everybody believes there's a formula to be hacked, and Bob Berg in his book, The Go-Giver, does an amazing job of just explaining how the universe works, and it's giving without expectations, period. And also there's, again, Craig and I rant about this all the time, the secret, right? Well, if you just put it out there and you get what you attract and you think about the most, well, yeah, you can try and put the thoughts out there and attract all you want. But when you take a little bit of action towards something, holy hell, things really do happen.
Goes a long way.
Yeah. So how about that? Some action and some giving without expectation really moves the needle. But everybody thinks that there's this magical hack, this magical formula that, hey, you haven't shared with me yet, but that's it. The moment they figure that out, skyrockets.
Yeah, and they get better results in every mastermind.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and I think in the early stages, it's really being on the lookout. You don't give to get. But when you start practicing giving, like really, we were talking about habits 3 hours ago, when you start practicing it, it's really awesome to be on the lookout on how the universe is giving to you, because it's not always a direct relation to how you gave. Things are coming into your life from people, places, institutions that, it was not a direct line back. So I think angels come in many forms, right? We start giving, and you just start to see the magic coming from different places.
Yeah.
And today's just such a great chance to flame that fire.
Hey guys, I just
Yeah.
love doing this with you guys for the last 3 hours. It feels like it went by really
It
fast.
felt like 10
know.
minutes.
I know, right? So I just want to say thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
Because we're ending.
gosh,
I would like
it's
to
amazing.
offer the
It's
same
3 o'clock.
offer you guys did, which is that I will double the investment, or double. It is an investment. It's an investment in your future. It's an investment in these little children's futures.
Yeah.
And I think we could just wrap it and say what we're going to give, just in case somebody just tuned in on our Facebook
Absolutely.
pages or anything like that.
So she's offering to match you right now if you give. Shanda's going to make every dollar into $2.
Yes.
For the next 18 people, right? That's our magic number today.
Oh, yeah.
That is our magic
And we
Yiddish
were
number.
already up to $8,000 in contribution before we started this last hour. So I'm just we're really excited to report back how it goes.
Yeah. So we're giving our sales team authority training, which is basically if you don't want to sell for yourself and you want somebody else to sell for you, this training will help that happen. You just give them this training. But I also recommend that you listen to it too, because it will help you really up level your ability to sell, and I think that's powerful as an entrepreneur. So that's a program that we sell for $1,700. We're going to give that to you for donating to Shriners Children's Hospital today, which is $199. We're giving over $6,000 worth of our valuable trainings that are really our life work. We're going to give it to you for $200, all of this. So I'll give sales team authority and also buy you 2 tickets to our zone event, which is almost sold out. Our tickets are about to go up to $1,000 a piece, which is at the end of September 28th, 29th, and 30th in Arizona at the Biltmore Hotel. And if you can't make it, then we'll just move your tickets to next year. So
and I'm giving away my high performance leadership course, and I got to tell you, this is a course that I built not out of theory, but out of my life practice of failing as a franchisor and failing as a leader in 2012, 2013, where I almost lost my company, to turning it around and turning it into an Entrepreneur 500 fastest growing franchise on the planet this year. And
Mr. Inc.
yes,
We
right.
got 3 Inc. 500 recognized companies here. We're not messing around.
What's really neat about this, guys and gals, is you're not just buying courses for yourself to better your income and the impact that you're making, but that $199 that you're going to pay goes directly to Shriners Children's Hospitals. We've decided to double that, obviously, so that we can make a bigger impact. So you're doing a lot of good. It's a win-win-win scenario. And Lisa, why don't you share what they're getting in the $199 donation package as well?
Yeah, we talked a lot about the principles from this course today. Everybody here demonstrated them. We're doing it right now. Bonuses, limiters, main dish. It's called Nail Your Offer. And I will say, we don't charge you any extra if you want to use Nail Your Offer to raise money for something you care about. All the principles are really the same when it comes to moving people into action. So you get that $500 program. You get a one-on-one call to kickstart you, depending what kind of business you're in, to build what we call your sales conversion machine, and an invitation to come out and learn with me live later in the year at our Monetize Your Mission event in Los Angeles.
And if you're watching on Instagram, any of our Instagram pages, then you could go to any of our Facebook pages. You can go to Bedros. You can go to, what's yours?
At lisasasevich.fan.com will take you straight there, or just Lisa Sasevich.
And Facebook.com/hardcore business, and you can actually go find the link there anytime today. Share it on your pages, share this information. We hope that it was valuable for you. We hope that you could at least take one nugget and go make at least $100K with it.
Yeah, that is the least you can do. When you do, remember to give back without expectation, and amazing things will happen in your life and your business. You said it so eloquently, Lisa. You said today's not a pebble, it's a boulder, or something to that effect, a rock.
Right, the pebble in the pond that makes the river. This is like, boom.
Truly. So it
was for me.
I just want to express my gratitude to be able to connect with you two and do this and to give for 3 hours. I am truly a step above grateful for having great friends like you, mentors like you, and I appreciate everything you guys have done in my life. So thank you for that, and thank you all for watching. Appreciate you guys.
Yes.